family driver, welcome to another video. Today I will be testing this hybrid BMW 330e xDrive. Before we jump to driving, I'm going to take you through some details of this car. The car has the M Sport trim and it came with the larger 19-inch wheels. It's an estate car, so it's the king of practicality. It has a large boot, however, it's slightly compromised because of the space dedicated for your charging cables. Inside, it's a normal 3 Series, and that's really a compliment. It's not equipped in laser lights, but the LEDs work absolutely fine, and overall, I think the car looks great and it's a brilliant package.
So let's start the car and let's go for a drive. And the car is on. Obviously, this being a hybrid, it doesn't start the engine. I still got some battery left, only for 3 miles, but it basically is a hybrid, so it will start in the electric mode if you have some power in the battery. So I'll keep it in hybrid for now, and we can then switch to sport maybe later on, once we tested it, how it feels on the road. So let's go into drive, and the car goes quietly, no engine noise at all. So the car is absolutely silent. Obviously the engine is still off and the car is just cruising purely on electric motors, and the interior looks fantastic. I have to say, the G series of the BMW, it's such a step up considering how the F series looked like. Massive leap for BMW, and I will praise them for it. In terms of the dials, again, I'm not a massive fan of the BMW digital dials, and that's because they keep revs and speedometer on sides, which I don't really like. I would prefer something in the middle, something more like Audi does. In terms of what you get on this screen, the information is absolutely fine. You get some kind of map in the middle, you get your speed on the left, and on the right, depending on which mode you're in, you either get rev counter or you get some kind of dial which shows you how much power you use, or if you're recharging the power. So I would say for normal driving around the town, it is absolutely fine. It's when you drive more enthusiastically and you would like to see those revs at the front of you, they are not really there, so that's why I'm not a big fan of it. But overall, living with the car for a bit, you get used to it, and especially, like I said, in a daily driving situations, you don't really care about your revs that much. So in terms of driving, I'm still in a hybrid, and the internal combustion engine still didn't turn on once, so I'm still cruising on pure electricity. Through the day today, I use this car in normal daily situations, so driving in town, in traffic, taking it to shops, etc. And actually I was quite negatively surprised about the MPG. So I'm doing over 30 miles per hour now, and I'm still in electric drive only. 40 still in electric drive, so the electric motor will stay on as long as you have the battery life. What I'm going to do now, because I've got only 2 miles of battery left, I'm going to switch to sport, which should turn on the internal combustion engine, which is a 2-liter unit, gives this car 184 horsepower, which isn't too much considering the weight of this car, which is 1950 kilograms, so almost 2 tons. It's a very heavy car. Obviously you have electric motors, you've got batteries, and you've got your big engine at the front as well, which unfortunately adds weight. So yes, it's not a light car, however it doesn't feel heavy. you know, obviously BMW worked very hard, like all the other manufacturers, to hide this weight by introducing a bit stiffer suspension, which actually works pretty well. The car is comfortable, but you feel it's stiff. It's not a plush car. It doesn't actually roll at all. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's quite stiff for what it is. So when I switched to sport, you probably didn't even realize when the engine turned on. The engine stays really quiet, and I guess it will only get slightly more louder once I push it. Obviously this is an xDrive model, so even on a day like today where it's wet, it was raining a moment ago and it's only 1.5 degrees, about 2 degrees now, I can still push it and it should grip absolutely fine. So once I have a bit of clearance, I'm going to try to push it a bit to see what it can do. So at the moment I'm in sport, so let's try to push it now. So the car definitely comes alive. However, despite the 2-liter turbo unit, because of all the weight, it doesn't really kick you in the back at all. It accelerates, but it's a smooth acceleration, and despite all the sound drama, not much is actually happening. It does accelerate. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got 184 horsepower, but because of that weight, it just doesn't do much, and it doesn't really feel that fast at all. It's perfect for the daily driving, but if you want to push, if you want to overtake on, or if you want to have some fun, you might actually find this engine, it's not enough. However, again, for daily driving, this unit I think works perfectly fine with this car. In terms of the sport mode, you can actually go to extra boost mode, which I turned on now, and what it gives you is basically a maximum power of your electric engine and your internal combustion engine combined. So in theory that should give me over 290 horsepower. So let's accelerate now. Okay, so yes, the car definitely moves much quicker. You can actually feel the difference. So the boost from the electric engine is working. It gives you an extra power, an extra 100 horsepower really. So and basically, because it's an instant torque, it actually gives you a bit more of that kick when you accelerate. You don't have to wait as much as with a normal internal combustion engine, because it basically, the electric motor provides the torque. So let's try it now. So the car moves, and for a normal car, I guess it is all right. It doesn't give you a punch. However, it's accelerating consistently. It pulls, and I guess when you're in the higher gears, third and above, it basically helps. What I do really like is the fact that you can press an electric mode and basically the car becomes an electric car. It's totally silent. The car only provides a maximum distance of 24 miles purely on electric, which I guess it's a stretch anyway. It's probably quite unrealistic to achieve this in real world driving, but I would think that you can probably easily get to about 15-18 miles, maybe even 20, purely on electric, which then makes sense. This car in electric mode, it's absolutely fantastic. Driving around the town, you know, and on the short distances, purely on electric, it's great. So I'm now purely in electric mode. I'm just trying to push it and see how it behaves. Oh, well, it just told me I've got low battery and it turned on the internal combustion engine. So, because of the four-wheel drive, the car really sticks to the road. It is very stiff, I would say. Well damped, but stiff. It's a very bumpy road, anyway. It feels like it sits higher than M340. I was driving on the same road. It's definitely a bit more floaty than the other car. However, it gives you so much confidence. Not a lot of feel through the steering wheel though. It's quite numb, I would say. It steers the car, but well, you can't really feel anything through it. Obviously, I'm a bit spoiled because of my M2, where I think the steering in this car is absolutely amazing. In this one, it's just good. The steering is there, it works fine. It's very light, I would say. Let's switch to sport again. So I'm in sport mode now. The steering got slightly heavier, but not much, and there is still no feel through it. Actually, the rear stepped out a bit. So it is rear-wheel drive biased like M340. However, I think I felt the M340 felt a bit more rear biased than this one. I guess because of the weight of this car, they had to set it up differently. But I still have so much confidence in the corners pushing this car. There's absolutely no way this car will step out when you don't want to. My M2 would be absolutely sideways in that corner over there. This car, no problem at all. You see, I'm really trying. I pushed it to the floor and the car would not go sideways. It just pulls you out. So let's try to accelerate fast once again. So let's summarize this car. The powertrain, the B48 feels, I guess, nippy for a normal daily driver. It is absolutely fine. It's not the car which will excite you like a 340i. It's the daily driver, and I think it's a perfect unit for a daily driver. It is fast enough, and I guess it provides a fuel economy as well, which is important if it's your daily. In terms of the xDrive, I think it's set up slightly differently than M340i xDrive. That car definitely felt rear wheel biased. It was stepping out a lot when you wanted, when you provoked it. This one, no, it just grips. It just grips all the time. I managed to get it a bit sideways just once for a fraction of the second, but other than that, even when I try to provoke it, the car would basically just stick to the asphalt. It's designed to do that, so I think as a daily driver it works absolutely fine. Suspension, I would say it is perfect compromise. You know, it's slightly more floaty than M340i, but it still feels quite stiff, and that's due to the weight of this car, and BMW using stiffer springs to hide the weight of this car. In terms of fuel economy, well, I think some of you might be surprised here because it's not all rosy. Unfortunately, during my daily driving today, where I was really careful with how I drive the car, if you don't have enough battery power to drive purely on battery, and you drive using your petrol engine with only electricity helping you out during the acceleration, during the setting off from the traffic lights, I think you won't be that pleased with it. I managed to achieve about 24-26 miles to the gallon in town, which isn't that great. I was really expecting something more. However, in these conditions and driving like that, my M2 would probably return about 18 to 20 miles to the gallon. So obviously it is more economical than, for example, an M car, but it's a totally different car, and I guess it's the weight which kills the economy of this car. This car is designed to be in electric mode all the time in town. That will give you a great MPG combined with your normal internal combustion engine, which you can then use outside town or on a motorway. That should give you quite respectable combined cycle. In terms of comfort, it's a 3 Series. It's a lovely car to be in. The interior looks fantastic. It is comfortable. I still need to complain about the sitting in this car. It's not that comfortable, I would say. I can feel this stitching under my boom, which is not great. I would expect that, you know, it would be slightly more comfortable, but other than that, it is absolutely fine. The back support is perfect. The sides are holding me really well. There is plenty of space at the back. I could actually sit behind myself and still not touch front seat with my knees, which is great. Because it's a touring version, it's so usable space. You can open the hatch and you can put a fridge in there. So in that terms, the car is absolutely fantastic. The car looks beautiful as well because it's an M Sport version of the BMW 3 Series. So you get some M badging, you get bigger wheels. This car doesn't have bigger brake kit, which I had on M340i.
After driving this car for a bit, I think the only negative I can talk about is the braking. It's so inconsistent, and I think this is a problem of many hybrids and electric vehicles.
If you don't want to go with 340, if you don't feel like the 3-liter engine is something you need, you want something which gives you a decent economy and I guess a punchy engine as well, this car I think might be for you. I guess what really drives the sale of these cars is the company car tax. This is quite low on all the hybrids. I think it's a group 11 compared to, let's say, I think group 36 or 37 for M340D, for example. So there's a big difference. This one will cost you 3 times less in car tax. So that drives the sale of hybrid cars and the cars like this. But if you're buying this car purely for yourself, not as a company car, I still think it makes sense. It's a 45 grand car without any options, and it feels like a 45 grand car. It's comfortable, it looks nice, it drives nice, and it also can save you some money if you have a wall charger at home and you can charge it at home while it's parked. Basically, that's a perfect scenario. You can drive this car up to, let's say, 15-20 miles purely on electric. So if you don't drive this car far, you can sit in that electric mode all the time, and then this car will absolutely save you money, especially if you have at home solar panels. You charge the car for free and you drive it almost for free. So that is absolutely amazing, and I think it absolutely makes sense then. To be honest, if I would be in a position to have a second car now for myself and I could afford it, I would buy something like this. It would be perfect for my family. It would be perfect around the town for economy. It would be perfect to get to the office, because I could get one way purely on electric. So I think, yeah, it's a really great solution, and I can really see why people are moving to those cars, because they just make sense. But not for everyone. If you're one of those people who spend most of the time on the motorway, who drive over 20-30 miles a day, I think it's not really that great for you. I think, you know, it wouldn't make sense. You would carry all the weight, almost 2 tons of weight around with your 2-liter petrol engine, struggling to push the car all the time. So it wouldn't make sense. It's not that economical then. So I'm in hybrid mode again. The car keeps it in electric. It's quiet, it's comfortable, and it takes me to a petrol station because I'm almost out of fuel. So I hope my test, my review, and my conclusions will be helpful to you and might convince you to buy this vehicle, or actually convince you that this car, this type of car, it's not for you. So really depends on who you are and how you use your car. This will basically determine if this car is for you.
I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to subscribe to my channel and to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one very shortly. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Do widzenia.